Hey guys, welcome to my video. I'm your host, the J-Man, and today we'll be doing an in-depth plot review of Tom and Jerry the movie. Just kidding. Happy April Fools. I know it's a little bit late, but there we go. So this is a video review of Wonder Woman 1984. I'll be talking pretty in-depth about the plot. So minor spoilers. Other than that, let's get right to it. I know you have some questions for me.
Yes, I do. What was going into this movie? What were your hopes and expectations?
Okay, so this is like the fourth time that we're seeing Wonder Woman in a movie. So this is the fourth one. They should be able to get it right by now. My expectations, the first movie was pretty good. I liked that first solo film that she did. This one, I wanted, obviously get more in depth with her character, her personality. A better villain, bigger story. Yeah. So those were my expectations. Fairly high, I'd say. Not too high. I'm not a huge Wonder Woman fan, but there you go. Next question, please.
Yes. What did you think about the themes and settings for the movie?
Okay, so the themes and settings. The setting was 1984, which I love the 80s. I love that visual. I love the culture of the 80s, the music and everything. Fantastic. That was a great choice for the movie. The setting, it started out in Washington, D.C., a very populous American city, and it just went to lots of places all over the world, Cairo, Egypt, among them. I like that a lot. I like that the film was expansive. It showed so much diverse landscapes and environments. Really like that a lot. The themes were hard to pick up on, hard to understand. Something about wish fulfillment and how, when you make a wish, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it, things like that. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's not very solid, something that we deal with every day, or, it's very kind of, I don't know how to say it, but maybe cheesy, maybe hokey, but the themes, they were hard to catch, because something with her and Steve, I just didn't get it the first time around watching the movie, but there you go.
Okay. What about the action? How was the action?
Action was incredible. Yeah, really good action scenes. I love the scene in Egypt on the road, her against the big armored vehicles. Great use of the lasso. I love how they made her look really acrobatic, very, graceful through the air. It looked like Wonder Woman, her fighting style, her poise. Very good. The way she uses her lasso, the way she uses her bracers, everything was really good about that. They incorporated even her throwing the tiara, her running, and eventually her flying was really good. I liked that a lot. There was great action. The fighting scenes were pretty well done. The final fighting scene with her and the main villain was a little bit confusing. Maybe they tried to get a little bit too complex or too elaborate with the swinging and acrobatics, and the lighting was pretty dark, so it was maybe a little too chaotic. But for the most part, the fighting was good, the action was very good. The scene in the mall, in particular, the opening scene was pretty cool. So I like the action a lot.
Good.
Very well done.
Good. Okay, now let's get into something I know you'd be interested a lot in, the characters.
Mm-hmm.
There were several characters, in the movie. What did you think?
Right. Talking about how they developed the characters throughout the movie. This movie had two villains, which is, they've got your main villain who's like a mastermind, and that's Maxwell Lord. He's the schemer, and overall he is kind of shaping the plot, driving it forward. And we have then the Muscle, which is the main physical threat for Wonder Woman, which is Barbara, who becomes the Cheetah. those characters are prominent throughout the movie. And then we have, of course, Steve Trevor comes back, the love interest, and plays a big part in the movie. All those characters are developed throughout the beginning of the movie towards the end. And there's a lot going on, a lot of development. It's hard to take much away from it in terms of what was really going on. The characters, their development, it didn't exactly feel natural, particularly with Barbara the cheetah and Maxwell Lord. I couldn't get a grasp on what their motivations were, other than, Maxwell Lord is a greedy kind of, entrepreneur, typical bad guy, schemer, and Barbara just wants more, importance, self-worth. So their development, though, it didn't feel like it had a natural flow to it. It didn't feel like it was progressing step by step logically. Quite a few leaps of faith in seeing what they do in each scene, like how they go from being a normal person to a cruel, mean person or something like that. Yeah. It's tough. How did you feel about that? I know you have an opinion.
Well, not knowing the characters at all, other than Wonder Woman, and I was a little lost with it. I just couldn't understand from the beginning how he came in, the type person he was, and the character. How, first of all, he knew about the stone and what was going on with the stone, and even what it was.
You're talking about Maxwell Lord.
Maxwell Lord.
So
yes, and I was kind of. And it just, I don't know, it went so fast, and it seemed, it just, for me, it just didn't fit. I just kind of didn't quite get it.
Yeah.
And and as it continued, I thought it was really dramatic. Now, maybe it was that way in the comic books, I don't know, but it just seemed a little over the top, almost too much.
There was a lot of over-the-top stuff.
Yeah, it was just a little bit too much drama with that whole thing right through there. I didn't really care for that part. And the cheetah.
A main thing that I want to say.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Then you can follow up on this if you want. Is that the change from Barbara and Diana, Wonder Woman, their relationship as kind of friends to bitter rivals. It came out of nowhere. It's like,
Yes.
Why do they hate each other? Well, I mean, obviously, Wonder Woman doesn't hate Barbara, but Barbara feels very much like she has to basically kill Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
and it didn't make sense other than, it's tongue-in-cheek comic book stuff where evil is abound because magic, and you once you introduce this idea of the sort of monkey's paw and that crystal that grants wishes and then brings about evil, the worst in people or whatever, it's all very up in the air. You can't put a finger on what exactly is happening or why.
Right.
It's a lot of just because.
Right.
And it feels cheap.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I just, with the cheetah, I mean, gosh, here she comes with Wonder Woman, and probably the only person that's nice and pays attention to her. And then just out of the blue, because of what he was doing with the stone, and he became the stone and granting all these wishes, poof, she's a cheetah, one of the pretty mean character in the comic books, I have found out. And she's just out to destroy Wonder Woman. Okay, maybe it made her that way, but it just jumped into it so fast, I just didn't quite get it. It didn't jive for me, and that was, that really bothered me.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing I felt with Wonder Woman herself, Steve's been dead for 20 or 30 years,
Right.
and yet she still hasn't opened up socially, made any friends, and that's so awkward and hard to believe. Wonder Woman holds such a kindness in her heart that she wouldn't have some friends, or at least be a little more social for
Right.
30 years or so.
Right.
She's just been totally isolating herself. That didn't jive. Yeah. So.
Well, I don't know, you know, she may not have been isolated. Maybe they just didn't show anything, you know. But I think
the theme that they were trying to convey is that she felt very alone and she misses Steve so much,
right.
and she was afraid. She didn't really want to have any other relationships to kind of betray him or replace him or whatever.
Right, right.
And then he comes back, and he's very, it's a whirlwind romance again, but he tells her that you have to open up to the world around you. There's so much more to take in.
Yes, right.
And
That's
for some
true.
reason, she needed him to tell her that. She
Right.
couldn't realize that herself. I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the romance with Steve?
Oh, I'm very comfortable with that. I like the romance
That
with
was good.
Steve. Yeah, I was
His
really,
character.
I actually really enjoyed that he did come back, even
Yeah.
for a short time. And I think maybe because the way things happened before, that she just never settled any of that. That might have been why she figured she would never find anybody that could compare, you know, to him.
Yeah, looking back on it, I guess they did well with that relationship with Steve and Diana, but everything going on with the villains, it was just
Yeah, it was
too
a lot
much
of chaos.
in between.
Yeah.
And how did they make the jump from here to there? And what exactly is their motivation? That was a mess.
Right. Well, again, what was your overall opinion of the movie? And basically, that's kind of what we were discussing.
Yeah,
Um,
not very good.
Yeah.
It went on for a long time, and towards the end, it got really weird. Just with everything with Maxwell Lord, he takes on a quality that is not human, that is not really anything understandable. Yeah, I didn't like the ending at all. At the end, it just basically undoes everything that happened.
Yeah,
It's
he
like,
basically spends a little time with his son, and even though his brain is all messed up with this craziness, he goes, oh, you know, in his brain, I need to change all this and go back to who I was.
That was ridiculous. Totally ridiculous with the Maxwell Lord stuff.